Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Relationships fall apart for all kinds of reasons. Distance, communication issues, emotional baggage. But a $15 keyboard? That's a new one. And if that doesn't make you question humanity, wait until you hear about the guy who thought tracking his ex's car was a form of caring. Today in the rLounge, modern dating in a nutshell. Up first, one Amazon Basics keyboard that somehow became the hill their relationship died on. Girlfriend and I, 26 male, female, got into a huge fight over a keyboard, thinking about ending things based on her behavior. So my girlfriend and I, both 26, got in a fight about this 2 nights ago, and she's making it seem like I'm being an a-hole. We've been dating for 4.5 months. My girlfriend has a 2013 Lenovo laptop that has seen better days, and as it stands right now, among some other issues, her keyboard totally doesn't work. Because of this, she always uses a small Bluetooth keyboard with her laptop. She had texted me the next morning saying that her wireless keyboard had stopped working as well. We had already planned for me to stay the night at her place after I got off work, so I offered to stop by my place on the way to grab her a keyboard, as I have a few extras. When I got to her place, she was eagerly awaiting the keyboard, which makes sense as she wasn't able to use her keyboard for most of the day. But when I handed her the keyboard, she started getting quiet and pouty. A bit later, when I asked her what was wrong, she said she thought I'd be bringing her something nicer, like the keyboard I have at my desk. The thing is, I have a really nice keyboard at my desk. I'm a programmer, and I love this keyboard, so much that I also bring it to work with me. I even have specific macro profiles for it that definitely improve my workflow. For context, I had an extra Amazon Basics keyboard, about $15 lying around, still brand new and in the box. My personal keyboard, which I've had for years, is some variant of the Razer Black Widow, about $120. Anyway, she was apparently expecting me to be selfless and let her use my nice keyboard while I used the Amazon keyboard. She was upset that I didn't value her enough to lend her my nice possessions and left her with the cheap $10 keyboard, her words. She said if the situation was reversed, she'd lend me the nice keyboard. I explained to her that I have my keyboard specifically set up for work, and because I'm so used to it, it would hinder my ability to do work if I didn't have it. I continued to argue about it. Things really came to a head when she boldly claimed that I wasn't willing to lend her my nice keyboard, that I should have bought her a nice new keyboard if I really cared about her. This is when I got really mad. I told her she was acting like an entitled, spoiled child, and that she'd have been grateful that I went out of my way in the first place to grab the Amazon keyboard. She started crying and asked me to go home. I left, but I still gave her the Amazon keyboard to use. I was far more upset at the principle of the situation than the keyboard itself. So now she's calling me an a-hole for both not giving her my keyboard and because I called her spoiled. We're going to meet up tomorrow to talk about this in person because I refuse to continue this silly argument over text. I'm thinking about ending things with her as I feel like this is her showing me her true colors. Let's see what the audience thinks with a few comments. First up, you're honestly 100% right. She's acting like a spoiled child. Beggars don't get to be choosers. She wants your nice keyboard, she can buy one herself. Better yet, she can buck up and save up for a new laptop. I don't blame you at all for feeling angry. I think you should attempt to talk through before you decide to break it up with her. But it is definitely a red flag that she's acting this way. The next person chimes in. I think you got it right when you said she was a spoiled brat. She should have been grateful that you came over with a keyboard, any kind of keyboard. Maybe she should have taken her own advice and be a little selfless. I would pose a question for you. If you two are fighting over a keyboard, what will happen when an issue that is a bit more serious comes up? Good luck with your talk. I have a feeling you are going to need it. One more comment. Never marry someone until you've seen how they act on a really bad day. Alright, the OP edits. She texted me asking to meet up tonight instead of tomorrow, as she is feeling anxious and stressed about the situation. I will give everyone an update later tonight or tomorrow morning. I also wanted to clarify that she's never acted like this before, although admittedly, we haven't been together for very long. Some of you suggested that maybe I'm not making her feel valued, and this situation is a symptom of that. While I think I both show and tell her that she's valued in different ways, this may be something I bring up with her. Of course, it doesn't forgive her bad behavior, but may explain some of it. Cheers! Update: the next day. We met earlier tonight and sat down to a talk. I was somewhat prepared to end things with her, so I suggested we meet at her place so that I could bail if things went south. And they did. Even though I thought I made my post as anonymous as possible, one of my girlfriend's coworkers figured out who the post was about, her girlfriend's age, working HR, which I mentioned in a comment, some computer problems, dating a programmer, etc., and sent it to my girlfriend. The reason she wanted to meet early was because she was furious that I had made the post, airing our dirty laundry. In a sense, I guess she was right, because at least one person had figured it out. My girlfriend never uses Reddit, so I figured I was safe. There's a strong chance she'll read this one as well. Anyway, she immediately began berating me, telling me that I made her look bad in the post and lied about the details of our argument to get people on my side. I asked her to point out any part of it that wasn't true, or where I had lied. Long story short, she couldn't point out a single thing. I definitely raised my voice when I told her that if she looked bad, it's only because of her actions. I told her I only made the post to get some perspective on the matter. The post was 100% accurate, and she knew it. She began to tear up and asked me if I was really considering leaving her over the keyboard. I asked her if she understands this wasn't about the keyboard. It was about the way she acted towards me when I was trying to do her a favor. She stayed silent and didn't answer. I asked her what had prompted this outburst, if everything was okay with her. I asked if anything had happened with her friends, parents, or at work that was upsetting her and may have led to this. She got really defensive, asking, "Are you calling me crazy? Do you think I'm unstable?" I had no idea where she was going with this. I told her I wasn't calling her crazy, but that she had to understand that I was quite confused about how she was acting, and that there had to be a reason for it. We talked in circles for a bit, and I tried to pry it out of her. I still don't know what caused all this, because she simply wouldn't tell me. When I realized our conversation was going nowhere, I finally asked her if we were going to have an adult conversation, or if this was the hill she was willing to let the relationship die on. She asked, "What do you want from me?" And I said, "I want an apology." I'm getting tired of typing, so I'll wrap this up quickly. She was absolutely unwilling to apologize. She thought that my betrayal of posting about this was far worse than her initial behavior. We talked for about 5 more minutes before I told her that I don't even care anymore. I told her this whole thing was exhausting, and she wasn't willing to help us get to the bottom of it, that we should just break up. I didn't waste any time making my way to the door. As I was leaving, she asked if I wanted the keyboard back. She didn't ask to be nice. She was definitely trying to get on my nerves. I could tell by her tone of voice. I told her she could keep it as long as she promised never to call or text me again. I've been getting tons of not-so-nice messages from her friends, which finally prompted me to delete my Facebook. She obviously told her friends some false version of the story, which made it seem like I really did leave her over the keyboard. I couldn't care less, as I'll never be seeing any of them again. We only dated for approximately 4 months, so in the end, I don't feel terribly heartbroken. Mostly just relief that it's over, but also confusion. Still have no idea why she acted out. And to the people who had some unkind words towards me because I use a Razer keyboard, pound sand, dorks. I like what I like. Very short edit. She called earlier today and was very apologetic. My assumption is that she saw this post and read all the comments detailing how I was right for leaving her, among other things. I told her that she had her chance to apologize. Let's get at least one comment from this post. Here it is. I saw a comment on Reddit a while back that asked why so many relationships fail at approximately the 3-month point, and someone, no, I'm not going to spend 20 plus minutes Googling to give credit to the person, replied that they'd once been told it was because it was really hard for people to continue pretending to be someone they weren't for much longer than 3 months. I think maybe this applies to your situation. I don't blame him for ending things. That whole situation wasn't about the keyboard. It was about how she reacted when she didn't get her way. He went out of his way to help her, brought her something functional, and she still managed to turn it into an argument about how he doesn't value her. And then getting mad about the Reddit post just made everything worse. She had the chance to own up to her behavior, but instead doubled down and played the victim. It's telling that even when he tried to have a calm, adult conversation, she couldn't apologize or take responsibility. Moving on to the next story. Went for a tire change, found a tracker under my car, placed by my roommate. How do I go about this? I'm 25 female. My roommate is a 34 male. I moved to a new town last year, only knew one person, stayed with her for a bit until I found a house to rent, but I needed a roommate. She introduced me to a guy she worked with who also needed a roommate because he just got a divorce. I met him first, didn't get weird vibes, seemed nice enough. About 6 months ago, he made the suggestion to be friends with benefits, and I made the stupid mistake of agreeing. We both did not want a relationship, Everything was fine until he started getting weird and staying up until I got home, questioning me about where I had been and who I was around. I then ended the hooking up. I told him I didn't think it was like that. He got mad. Everything was fine for a bit, until yesterday. I live in a pretty rural area where most businesses are small and family owned. Since not a lot of people are getting out of, I decided to go ahead and get some new tires and support a mechanic shop I go to, since I doubt they're getting regular business at the moment. I'm there waiting when the guy comes over and tells me he wants to show me something. I'm like, okay. We go over to my car and he bends down and points under at a black box. He asks me if I know what that is and tells me it's a GPS. It took me a second to understand the implications of a GPS being under my car. I was like, so someone put it there? It's clear I have no idea why it's there, and he got actually concerned and told me if I didn't know, I needed to find out. I feel so creeped out because I have no friends here. The friend I knew moved away. I only know some people at work, but we're not friends and it's been hard to meet people. There's no way a GPS would be on my car unless my roommate put it there. Now I'm freaked out in a way I've never been before and I can't move out. I'm scared to ask him about it. I have no one to stay with, no family here. What do I do? Do I just ask him about it outright? I left the GPS there because I don't want him to know I know at the moment. What do I do? Ask for advice from the community and you're going to get it. First up, this is really creepy. Start planning your exit. Document everything. Followed by, I would be concerned there are cameras in your bedroom and bathroom. Honestly, I would not feel safe to return home. I would immediately call the police and file a report. There are devices you get from a spy store that can scan for the frequency of hidden cameras, but I would not even waste my time with that. My peace of mind would be worth a terminated lease and breach of contract, in which a police report would help you in a civil court should you have to go. Run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. Let's get a quick comment from the community before moving on. Be specific as to how you know, not what you think or believe, but what actual proof do you have that your roommate put the GPS in your car? What I read is that some guy found something on your car. The OP replies, it's a small magnetic tracking device. Who else would it have been? I know no one, and this place is too rural for any kind of crime organization like stealing cars. No one would steal my 7-year-old car anyway. Maybe the car dealership put it there? I own it. I've had it for about 7 years, since I started college. Paid for it in cash outright. Update the next day. Kind of update. I'm going to put them here. I'm still reading through the comments. Thank you guys. That's really great advice I'm going to follow. PSA, I bought my car brand new 7 years ago and paid for it in cash. I've never owed anything on it. So last night, I decided to subtly pack my things and plan on making the drive at some point today back to my hometown. He works during the day, but I work from home because my office is closed until at least the summer. I realized I could probably fit all my stuff in my car, and since my lease ends in May anyway, so I'm just moving out. The only furniture that's mine, and not the landlord's or his, is my bed, and it's old, so I think I'm just going to leave it there. I went down to the police station early this morning and I had them remove it. I don't think there's much they can do besides document it. They asked me some questions and I said I didn't know, but I know no one here, and think it might be my roommate. They said it looked like a cheap one from Amazon or eBay, and they'll check it out. Honestly, I might just end up staying home. I miss being in a familiar place where I know basically everyone in town, and I miss my friends. Working from home for a few months might give me enough time to switch jobs. So that's all I have for now. Thank you guys. I'll try to reply to people as well. Now let's get some more relevant info and maybe a comment or two. The OP replying to a downed commenter on dealing with the police. I've already gone to the police. Even if I had told them, yep, totally my roommate did it, I know it. I didn't. I simply strongly suggested it. That is not grounds for someone's life to be ruined. They wouldn't even take that as fact until it was proven. Even if they find definitive proof, I'd have to go through with pressing charges. If I did press charges, then it would be a simple misdemeanor. And at that point, if you got a misdemeanor, it would be rightly justified since it was all proven. And that's if I would even bother with charges in the first place. All of this is minor things compared to if he was an insane loose cannon that would kill or hurt me if I just didn't mention his name. It's ignorant to not piece together the clues and be safe rather than sorry, instead of just saying, Nope, I have no clue. Because I do have a clue, and I know it's him. I plan on asking him later today after my 8-hour drive home, so I'm interested in hearing what he has to say. Edit. Update, since I think it'll be lost in the comments. If anyone is curious, already mentioned I went to the police and home. All settled in now. Ended up asking him about it via phone. He admitted to it, got freaked out when I said I gave it to the police, and said he was concerned for my safety. When I would go places by myself after work, yeah, okay. We get into a small scuffle about it. He finally snapped and said that he knew I was seeing someone when I was hooking up with him. I wasn't. So, yeah. My first experience with crazy, and hopefully my last. He didn't lose a girlfriend. He lost access to someone he thought he could monitor. The way he stayed up waiting for you, questioned where you were, then escalated to literally tracking your car is straight up effed. That's not a weird phase after a breakup. That's someone who needs a restraining order and a reality check. You did everything right by keeping quiet, getting the police involved, and getting the hell out. He's lucky all he got was his little Amazon gadget handed over to the cops instead of a full-blown stalking charge. He screams Dahmer. What do you think? Do you have a similar story? Tell us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.